You are about to embark on an epic journey. A journey so epic, so epically epic, many of you will not realize the full meaning of the journey until you are old and gray. A journey called academic essays. All right, stop that. Ugh, so dramatic. I know many of you feel panicky at the thought of writing an essay. Most of what I get when I announce essays falls in between the categories of, why, and, oh my god, it's the apocalypse, everybody run! Calm down. Everything's going to be fine. First, let's talk about what every essay has in common, and then we'll talk about what you should do specifically for this essay. Every essay has the same three basic parts to it. The introduction, the body, and the conclusion. It's the same no matter whether your essay is 3 paragraphs or 500 pages.
Your introductory paragraph will give background information related to the text and give the thesis as its last sentence.
So the introduction paragraph gives background information on the topic that you're talking about. If you're writing an essay about a book, you're going to want to summarize the book a little bit so that your reader understands what you're talking about. If you're writing an essay about what happens if you eat only Taco Bell for a month, you're going to want to describe what kinds of food Taco Bell has to offer so that the reader can understand what's going to happen when you describe the horrifying effects of that experiment. And then finally, at the very end of your introduction, you want to give your thesis statement, which is basically a one-sentence summary of the argument that you're going to make.
Your body paragraph will expand upon the thesis, include evidence from a source, and will be similar to a race paragraph.
After your intro paragraph comes your body paragraph, which is all about expanding upon the point that you made in your thesis statement. It involves evidence from a source. So if you're writing an essay about a book, you're going to probably add a quote from the book. If you're going to go with your Taco Bell experiment, you're writing about that, you might want to describe some of the interesting feelings you felt in your stomach afterwards. And then finally, the body paragraph is always going to be kind of similar in structure to that of a race paragraph, which we've been practicing a lot.
Your conclusion paragraph will restate the thesis and explain why it's important for someone to know what you've just said.
Alright, now it's time to talk about the conclusion paragraph, the last paragraph of your essay. It's the final countdown! You're going to restate your thesis again, which again is the point of what you're trying to say here, and then you're going to explain why it's important for someone to know everything that you just said. So for the book essay idea, right? You're going to restate what it is you're trying to prove about the book, and then you're going to explain what can people learn from the themes of the book that pertain to what you've been talking about. If we're going to go with the Taco Bell essay, you're going to restate whether or not people should eat Taco Bell for an entire month. Quick hint, you should not eat Taco Bell for a month. Don't eat Taco Bell for a month. Don't. And then what people can learn from the experience. The essay that we're writing now is going to be about situational irony. That. Now, I know some of you students don't always pay attention in class. I'm looking at you, Matt Beagleman. So here's a quick refresher. Situational irony is an event that directly contradicts what the reader expects to happen. This particular essay will look at situational irony in The Interlopers by Saki. If you don't remember how that story went, it went a little something like this.
I hate you, Ulrich van Gradwitz, and I hate you, Georg Zanaeum, and I'm gonna shoot you with my gun. Crackle, crackle, crackle. Oh my God, we're pinned by a tree. Wow, this life-threatening experience has really made me rethink a few things. Want to be friends? Yeah, okay. You want to call for help together? Sure. Help! 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 Oh wait, I think I hear something. What is it? What is it? It's wolves.
And that's how that story basically goes. To remind yourself of the finer details of the story, I recommend rereading it in the Elements of Story Unit document. For now, let's move on to talking about how to actually go about writing this essay. So the situational irony essay is going to be found in Google
classroom. It's going to be up at the top of your stream. And you're going to click on it, and it's got a very peculiar format that you may not have seen before, but this is how I like to do all of the extended writing pieces that I do in my class. So just to quickly read through. For your first extended writing piece of the year, you must write a 3-paragraph essay to answer the following prompt. How is The Interlopers by Saki an example of situational irony? Explain what in the story is ironic and how you know using evidence from the text in the form of a direct quote. And then we have 4 assignment steps. First, we're going to write a thesis statement that will be the focus of your essay. Then we're going to write an outline that briefly illustrates how your essay will flow. Compose a rough draft by pasting together writing from the outline in order, and then we'll revise the draft based on my comments. So we start with step 1, writing the thesis statement. A thesis statement is a 1-sentence summary of what your essay will be about. In other words, it's a short, general answer to the question you're being asked. You'll go into detail later in the essay. Even though you have to write a thesis before you can begin the essay, the thesis is never the first sentence of your essay. All right, folks, I want you to store this in your memory banks, okay? This sentence is very important, which is why I put it in bold. It belongs at the end of your intro paragraph. So the first actual thing that you're going to write is not the first sentence of your essay. It's your thesis statement, which belongs at the end of your intro. I've got an example of a thesis statement that I wrote about Who's There, which is that story, with the spaceman and the kittens and what have you. Who's There is a good example of situational irony because the reader thinks the ghost of a dead astronaut is making the unknown noise, but it turns out to be kittens instead. Aww. So you're going to write a similar thesis statement, but you guessed it, about the interlopers. After you've got your thesis statement, we move on to step 2, which is outlining your essay. And you'll notice I've got it sort of divided into big Roman numerals, which stand for paragraphs, and letters, which stand for the parts of each paragraph, or, the individual sentences. And you've actually got sub-prompts. You've got little individual sentence prompts here. For example, your opening sentence should explain what situational irony is. Consult your elements of story slideshow if you've forgotten the definition, right? So that tells you what to write for the first sentence. Then you move on. Your summary should give an overview of the whole story in 1 or 2 sentences, along with the author and title of the story, and then some other instructions about how to correctly punctuate titles of stories. So literally we go sentence by sentence, or in some cases 2 sentences at a time, or 3 sentences at a time, but section by section through the essay, composing it in separate chunks. And then finally, at the bottom, we have steps 3 and 4, which is drafting and redrafting. And the instructions say, in the box below, write your essay. This can be as easy as copying and pasting all of the sentences from the outline above in order. So you could go up to your intro paragraph, copy what you've written in here, and paste it first down below. And then go back up and copy what you've written here and paste it as the next sentence down below. And you will do a stand-up job. Remember to follow your outline. Do not generate new ideas or rearrange your ideas from the outline in this step unless told to do so by a teacher. This is very important, ladies and gentlemen. I can't tell you how many times I've had students go through the trouble of filling out this entire outline starting at step 2 and then just compose a completely brand new essay down below, completely just leaving everything that they, forgetting everything that they wrote up here. That's nonsense. You're wasting your time if you do that. You want to make sure that you just copy and paste. Really, that's all you do. Now, the only other thing that I want to caution you about is remember when I said up here that you should remember about the thesis statement. Even though you have to write a thesis statement before you begin the essay, the thesis is never the first sentence of your essay. A mistake many students make is accidentally copying and pasting this box as the first sentence of your essay, and that is wrong. You want to copy and paste in order starting at step 2, and I know that's a little confusing, and I apologize, but remember, this is your essay outline. This is just up here, this is just pre-thinking, right? This is your essay outline. And this stands for your first paragraph, and this stands for the first sentence of the first paragraph. So that's how you fill out this outline, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to be in on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. Unfortunately, I have another thing I need to go to Thursday and Friday. So a lot of this week will be you filling out this outline and planning out your essay and making sure that you have a draft down here at the bottom so that you can so we can look at it and we can get some comments for you and you can do some revision and make sure it's the best piece that it can possibly be.